All right, so I'll open the meeting. This is the Wednesday, April 3rd meeting of the Lakeville Police Station Building Committee. Ask if anybody's recording the meeting. Nobody's recording it. Our first agenda item is to discuss the revised charge of the committee. I had talked about revising the charge for the sake of me being allowed to continue on as the chairman of this group, or I should say as a member of this group, acting as chair. So at the selectmen's meeting on March 25th, they voted to change it just by adding the 3 words there, or their designee on page 1. Anybody have any questions about any of that? Okay, so our next order of business is to approve our meeting minutes for our previous meeting, which was March 6th. We've been provided copies of the meeting minutes. Did anybody have questions or changes to those suggested changes to that draft?
Make a motion to accept the March 6th meeting minutes as written.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, so our third thing on our agenda is a construction update. I'll turn that over to Bob. There you go, always down there.
Thank you, Aaron.
Okay.
Since our last committee meeting, at the main building, the Hardy board siding and AZAC trim is about 30% complete. The septic field is at 95% complete. The gypsum board and sound insulation at the main building is complete. HVAC is 80% complete. The electricians are 80% complete for the main building, and the acoustical ceiling grid at the main building is 85% complete. The primer coat to the interior walls are done, and first coat of the main coat of the walls are 70% complete. And over the next few weeks, permanent power should be installed into the building. The interior window casings will be installed. The men's and women's lockers will be installed. And the exterior siding and trim work will be done in the next 2 weeks, weather permitting. And again, as I mentioned last meeting, the Palmer Associates are pleased with the progress of the police station and the work performed by AP Whitaker.
Does anybody have any questions for Bob? Very good. Thanks, Bob.
Overall project schedule, so that project schedule has been, that we approved that last committee meeting, and the Board of Selectmen approved that as well. So our substantial completion date moved to June 4th, and they're on target for that. Norm actually thinks they're trending a little earlier than that, so that's what we're moving towards. Questions on schedule?
That doesn't mean the project's going to be completed by then, right?
That's just substantial completion, so yeah, move in probably a month or month and a half after.
Yeah, by contract, they have 60 days after substantial completion, right?
Correct. I provided a budget update.
Can I ask one more question? At the last meeting, we talked about extending the project manager's contract to cover, I don't know, another 30 days, 33 days, or whatever it was?
Yeah, 33 days.
Is that 33 days through the 4th of June?
Correct.
So what happens after that?
We already own that time.
You already own that time?
Yeah, we've already had that in our contract, the closeout time.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a budget update for you. This sheet here that was in your packet. So the major update, there was no other change order this month. The major update was the additional services we've asked Signet to perform. So the wiring of the electronic gate, and then the cameras out at the outbuilding, interior and exterior. So I added those new changes that they had in there. So if you follow that down to the bottom, you'll see line 27, our contingency. The adjusted budget for that is 1.29 million right now. Still very healthy budget. Material testing update, we haven't had.
Taylor, one more question. You're going to have to adjust the contingency to reflect the increase for the project manager's cost.
I have not done that, correct.
Okay, thank you.
I did that before we got approval.
Can I ask a question here? Just on the generator, emergency generator, third item down, it came in under budget, right, at 68.5?
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't call that, there's nothing else to complete, right?
No, they have testing. They have
Okay.
some minor items.
So wouldn't it be a savings?
Yeah,
If you
I haven't
Moved it?
moved
Okay.
that line over yet.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm hoping to have some savings in a couple of these line items that, yeah, would move
Okay.
into the contingency line.
Okay.
But I just haven't made that adjustment until we know
No, I just noticed it.
they're
this
still
time.
billing, so. And material testing, no issues there. Really, just the sidewalks, under the sidewalks, we'll do some compaction testing that's left. Change request, Brian, do you want to go through your?
Yeah, I give it my handout, my contract summary, and change order summary is all the activity to date. Change order, proposed change order number 8 is at the bottom of the first page. It includes some items that we have talked about in the past and now have pricing through AP Whitaker for. PCO 27 was additional electrical and data for ASI 36, and that was an owner request for some additional TV locations and monitor locations around the facility. So we added electrical and we added data to those new monitor locations. So that's a PCO through Griffin Electric. And then PCO 30 closes out 2 exterior sign items. And the reason why we're just getting the pricing now is AP Whitaker wanted to make sure that he was complete on all his pricing, including any additional electrical to bring power to the exterior sign. We had lighting on our plans for the road sign, but now we're bringing power into an electrified sign. So this is all inclusive of the exterior road sign, which is a 2-sided electronic message board with a 2-sided Lakeville police sign above it. And it has the same detailing that I had shown you a couple months ago on what the exterior road sign will look like. That's all included in this price. It also includes the electrical to bring power and connect to that electronic message board. We both have power going out, but also there's data going out there too, because you can change the messages. And you need to connect it back into the building, and it comes with software, so you can have different graphics, different lettering, change the message, and do that. You can even do it from your house remotely on your phone, so you'll get all that software, but that's also included to getting that connection out to the road sign. The exterior patch is what's going on the front elevation of the end gable. And the patches on our drawings, it was part of the elevations, but it was indicated as by owner, just because we didn't have the contractor pricing it out. We do have a price on that now. It's going to be a vinyl graphic on aluminum plate, and it's going to have aluminum edge, and they're going to come and install it, and then the general contractor will bring trim to that patch on the front of the building. So that's to furnish and install the exterior patch, which is about 5.5 feet wide, about 8 feet tall. On the outside of the building, furnish and install that, and furnish and install the road sign and all the electrical requirements for it. So that came in at $41,594.91. On the back, you'll see some pending change requests. And the last one that's there, the added circuit for the emergency generator controls, was brought to our attention from the generator manufacturer that they require 3 separate circuits going out to the emergency generator for different controls. within the generator package. Battery charger was one, block heater was another. I don't know what the third one was, but on our drawings, we have 2 circuits going out to the generator. Manufacturer recommends 3. Generator installer said that he could do it with 2. We feel that if the manufacturer is recommending 3, let's run the third one. So it's for bringing the circuits out to the generator for just controls, going from 2 to 3. We just received a price today from AP Whitaker on this. We reviewed it. It is a Griffin Electric change in the amount of $1,704.86. It would be wiring and circuit breaker and bringing it out and wiring out that third control item on the generator. So I'd like to add that to this list for your proposed change order number 8, which would revise the amount on the first sheet, front page, would revise it to $44,996.43. And then if you want to have any discussion on that, Aaron, I can go into some of these other items that are on here too.
Okay. Does anybody have questions relative to that additional circuit for the generator? Or any of these other pending change orders? Or not the pending ones, but the proposed ones? Thanks, Brian.
Do we want to take any action on that, or?
Yes, we do. So I guess the proposed motion would be to approve the change order, including the additional circuit for the emergency generator controls, for an amount of $44,996.43.
Correct.
So moved and seconded.
I will second that.
All right.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I should have jumped in sooner. That is PCO 31, right?
PCO 31.
31? Yeah.
31 is the generator circuit.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
might want to add that in as PCO number 31.
The other pending change request that I have on the back of the sheet, the antenna mount clarification at the Sallyport roof was a detail that we have on the vertical mansard on the back of the Sallyport roof. We have vertical section going from the slope roof. It goes vertical, and that vertical section of roofing is being used as an antenna mount for about 11 antennas that they're going to have running along the Sallyport roof. We issued a clarification on how that antenna mount was going to be installed. There was a potential that we had as a change order. There's been nothing submitted on that. We just put it out there because we see anything that could be a potential. We just wanted to make you aware of it. There may not be anything, any cost associated with this. And by next month, we'll look to either close that out or see if there's any action on it. But I'm not anticipating at this point that that's going to amount to any cost. The second one was relocation of the low septic vent. I'm learning a lot about septic systems. And you may recall that we had moved a vent on the septic system. And we brought a vent for $17,000. We brought a vent into the building, up into the roof, and up into the attic and through the roof. Well, that was the high vent. Now we have a low vent. And if you're driving by the building, there's this about 4-foot high candy cane that comes out of the ground and candy canes around. That's the low vent. So I had to reach out to Jamie and I said, why? I'm not familiar with why we have these vents on this system. And he explained to me that because of the design of this Presby system, which a Presby system, you know, I'm not a septic expert on this, but it reduces the leach field size. And if you're reducing that size of the leach field, now you're requiring the vents. If he had expanded the leach fields, there would be no vents. There would be no low vent. It'd still be this high vent off the discharge, the D-box. But this low vent, I was surprised to see it. And where it is, I was the one that said it has to get off the front yard. And with working with Jamie, I did pass around a sketch. I don't have a lot of copies, but I did have a sketch that maybe we can share if you have one, which moved this low vent location from the front yard over to the end of the building so we can get it out of the way. And we can then landscape around it and make, it can't disappear, but we can get it off the end of the building. And we are talking about landscape options and landscape ideas. And we can make this thing then be less obtrusive than sitting out in the front yard. So we talked to AP Whitaker about this. They're agreeable to doing this. They'd like to get it done sooner rather than later because the front site work is progressing, and they'd like to start spreading loam and topsoil. So we had discussed at the job meeting today that if we could have this reviewed by you as a building committee under a time and materials basis, that we could track the time, track materials. It's just 6-inch PVC pipe is what they need to extend. And it's easy digging to get it there. So in a day, we think we can get it over there in a day's time at T&M. We think this is going to be less than $5,000 to get this second vent out of the front yard. Any questions on our venting of the septic system?
Rich?
There's about 8 other ones that are coming up, and those are
Yes.
gonna, I asked you about that question.
The 8 other ones that are coming up get cut to grade. So they are inspection ports, part of this Presby design that has to be inspection ports at grade. So yeah, you see them, but they're gonna get cut down.
They're gonna be at ground level?
At grade.
Yeah.
At grade?
They'll have a little cover on them.
Yeah.
What's the committee's feeling on this? Would we like to see this low vent moved?
Yeah, I would. I think just to throw everything off, just having one vent.
It's a pretty big vent, too.
Yeah.
It's pretty ugly.
Aesthetically, it's
It's right in the middle.
nightmare.
Yeah.
It has to be.
I thought that was the one we were moving before.
Oh, yeah. no.
I thought the
Brian
vent that
was
we moved
surprised
was
when
the
it showed
vent. As I say, I'm learning a lot.
I've had a handful of residents come to me and say they didn't like the way it looked, and I think that, you know, to do this now, we might as well move it over there and hide it with some landscaping, so. Yeah, I would certainly be willing to make a motion that we do time and materials and move that vent per Brian's plan.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion or questions about that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
For owner's consideration, these are items that have been on the list, and I think some of them will be discussed more tonight, but there's one that I'd like to ask to be added for owner's consideration, and it's really for discussion purposes. The outbuilding, we had taken a lot of components off of the outbuilding. You had voted to put the ceiling back in the outbuilding. Looks great, the ceiling's up, it's up, it's taped, it's ready for paint, but we don't have any paint scope in that change order. The change order was for the drywall contractor to put the drywall ceiling up. It doesn't have to be painted. What we put up there was mold and moisture resistant drywall. It could stay in that current state, or I just want to bring it up because I didn't want anybody in the committee to think, why didn't we paint it? We can talk about it, and if you want us to get a price to paint it, there's no paint on the walls. The walls are plywood for durability. but now you have a drywall ceiling. You have a nice space there, and it's how finished do you as a committee feel you want that space? Because we could paint the walls and the ceiling, just paint the ceiling. We have painted ceilings black in storage buildings like this, and painting it black really, over time, is a good decision because it just stays black. Instead of painting it white, and over time it might turn a little gray on you. A black ceiling is just the forever, long-term solution. So we put that out there as a suggestion. I don't know what your feelings are on whether you want to proceed on getting a price or not.
Brian, I had a question. I was looking at that after the meeting. This is the ceiling inside the storage area?
Inside.
And, okay, so what are we using in where the vehicles would park?
That's
What's
going to be white.
That's going to be white plywood?
No, it's exterior sheathing.
Okay, all right, exterior, okay, good. So this is inside the confined area?
Inside, where we added the
doors.
ceiling.
Yeah.
So actually, I assumed we were talking about the carport section.
As was I,
being
that's why I
black.
looked at it,
Right.
yeah.
No, it's
So wouldn't
inside.
that be the one getting the soot and stuff? No?
No, not so much, not on the exterior.
And that's all hardy plank on the inside of that, and then it's a weather-resistant board on top, so it
Yeah.
can be washed. So
Okay.
this is strictly inside in that
Okay.
weather-protected area.
Mhm.
Is that ceiling outside gypsum base or is it PVC? Do you know? Oh.
I'd have to look back on the drawings to be 100% confident.
I thought it was PVC.
Okay, so that
It would
is
make sense that
washable.
it's
It's
PVC,
washable.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
It
you know,
might
on
be-
the inside, it would be my feeling that now would be a good time to at least get a cost associated with just spraying the inside, get it protected. The weather-resistant gypsum will last, but it's gonna look a little spotty with the white joint and compound on the tape and fasteners and then the green. It's just not gonna look finished. The joint and compound itself will still absorb moisture. You know, I mean, you get a potential of, tape loss. So I think that if the price was reasonable, I would recommend, at least getting a price on spraying the ceiling. And while we're doing that, I would recommend getting a price on spraying the walls as well, just to clean the whole space up and make it more finished.
We can do that.
Seem reasonable to everyone?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Other than that, I agree with what you've heard already. The schedule on the job is going very well, but I'm less interested in the schedule than I am in the quality of the work. I mean, we want to get it done on schedule, but I always look at the quality with more interest than the schedule. We have a contractor and all the subs are performing, they're doing a nice job. But what I see out there in the quality of the work is something that you don't typically see on some of these municipal projects. There seems to be a lot of pride and workmanship between all the subs, and everybody is just cooperating out there in a way that on a municipal job, it just doesn't happen automatically. I think that's, another thing to say about some of the management that's out there on the contractor side to organize what has to get done when, but not to overlook the fact that we still want a quality project. So,
I was speaking to Norm Whitaker after our meeting, and I'll share with you what he told me, and that was that your firm, the response, quick response, has helped him tremendously. That means a lot. And, being in the construction business, if you're sitting there on hold for days waiting for an answer, it just, the momentum gets lost.
thank you.
So, attaboy.
The last item, Aaron, that I have is a decision on colors and products. We have, going down the long corridor, the main corridor of the building, you're seeing, if you've been in there, they painted the walls. But one of the features that we have along the walls is we have a crash rail that goes at 3 foot high. And then below the crash rail is a vinyl product. And then from 3 foot down, we have a very durable vinyl wall product that's going on the walls. So whenever you're in the corridors, you know that most of your damage from gun belts and is from 3 foot down. So we're putting a very durable finish on those corridors because that's going to get the majority of the traffic, and it's going to get the majority of the dings and the hits from the officers. Not intentionally, but just over time it happens. Well, we had originally specified a product to go on that wall from 3 foot down, and this was what we had specified. Corasil was the manufacturer, and Corasil has notified us that they've discontinued this pattern. It's no longer available in the vinyl wall covering. So we did go out today with a bunch of different samples. We had about a dozen or so, plus a whole list of solid colors that we could utilize. And I've narrowed it down to this is my selection, with this color being the vinyl crash rail, versus what we can't get is this one. So I just wanted to say that that was a change to the color board, and it'll give you some texture along the base of the wall, complement the paint that's up above, and then it still has this vinyl that's going to transition between base and wall covering. So that's one change that we had to make to your color board.
You okay with that, Rita?
Do you have the color board?
The color board is in the
Did-
trailer.
Did Frank and the officers,
Frank, yeah.
you all like, it matches with the other colors?
Yeah.
That's my only question.
It's a fair one. I thought the same thing, so.
No, you didn't care.
No, I did. Well, I thought that they would care. I don't care, but my only question is, or I should say it's a comment, I'm happy we're not using that flimsy paper stuff and now we're using the actual vinyl. And I know that stuff would have come in that too, I'm joking, but.
Well, what Corasil does is they can take any of their vinyl wall coverings
And make it into a board.
Make it into a vinyl product.
Yep.
I like that one better, actually.
You like this one better?
Yeah.
I'm glad we're not
Hey,
using
Rita's
that
on board.
wallpaper.
That's all we need to hear.
Yeah.
So this is all we had of their vinyl, but since they don't make it anymore, they don't make this anymore, so we can't get this. So
Yep.
that's why we had to make a change.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Moving on to owner vendor updates, I did ask Tim to be here tonight, to give an update on town IT, and I did, Aaron, I heard, or I thought I heard that conversation might be taken out of this committee as far as the remainder of that coordination. Is that right, or?
I know early on that the chief expressed concern over having
Yeah.
IT discussions be held at, public meeting. But it was put, on tape. So I don't know if that still stands, but that was one of the first meetings, that's what was brought up.
Yeah, so I didn't know if you could give a general overview of, schedule and,
Yeah,
where you are.
absolutely. If you guys can refer to the IT actions list, the ones that are, the second one, transition to the new facility. So the big part of that is the MLP. They run the WAN, the interconnects between the buildings. So I spoke with them, they gave a ballpark quote of about $6,600 to get the fiber into the building, get that end set up, and get this end deactivated. There's gonna be a second part to that. On the town hall side, we plan on moving town hall assets. And there's some work that TMLP will need to do with that. They're pricing that now. I'm expecting a price on Friday. So that's pretty much it relative to number 2. Let's see, there's no update on number 3. That's just,
Yeah, 3, I've been in contact with them, they've been to the site, we're on schedule with E911.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows.
yeah,
They've made their process extremely easy now that General Dynamics handles it.
yeah. Number 4, centralization of dispatch. The chiefs had a meeting with the existing software company that the PD uses about converting the fire department to the PD system so they can share a dispatch. Lieutenant, were you present at that meeting?
I was not.
Yeah, I was not either. But we got pricing on that, it's about 17,000 to do that, assuming the fire department doesn't want to do any data conversion. And from speaking to Pam, they don't really believe that the data conversion is worth it. So, but that's, that'll be a discussion for the chiefs. In addition to that, it's another $2,800 a year in support and maintenance. So that's, that wraps up number 4.
Excuse me, just a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Does the police, what do you have in the police department? We have Pam also?
Pam,
So
yeah.
both?
Correct. Yeah, they'll be sharing that one system.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see.
For 5, security, Signet's installing all their equipment.
Yep.
No issues there.
Okay. 6, radios. That's not my department. I don't know if anybody's gonna fit on that.
So, and that's another one too, I heard that's being taken, the rest of the decision-making is being made with the PD and the BOS, radio-wise.
Correct.
So after our last meeting, the radio head end equipment for the PD and then the new, boxes and upgrades at the FD were released. So that part is released. We met with Cybercom today on site to review their requirements inside the building, firm up a few loose ends with them. I think it was a very good meeting moving forward, and they're going to be putting some pricing together, sending it to the chief, and then the chief will review that with the Board of Selectmen. So we just need to know, obviously, that budget number they're planning to spend, and we can, make room for that in the budget.
Okay, so that, we'll skip to number 8. Number 8 we've already discussed, that's the MLP with the fiber.
So we're not gonna discuss that anymore, Aaron?
What?
The issue having to do with the repeaters and the microwaves and all that stuff?
This committee isn't. The Board of Selectmen are aware of the issue, and they're going to deal with it.
Okay. And when are they gonna deal with it?
I don't know. I'm not on the Board of Selectmen anymore.
Well, I mean, you got some problems that need to be addressed immediately, because otherwise, there's communication problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that they're aware of that, and I think Tim is working with the chiefs and the Board of Selectmen to resolve any issues.
Yeah, Ryan's
It's
involved
out of our
in that.
hands.
Ryan Maltese is involved in that as well.
He
I
was at the
understand,
meeting
but there's
today.
some significant lead time on some of that stuff.
Yeah, that, honestly, that's more Ryan that's handling that. I haven't really had much discussion about radios at all.
The upgrades they were looking to do, they said they want to get something to the chief this week, and if he can get a quick turnaround, they'll have everything in the building by June 15th.
But to Rich's point, I think it's worth pointing out, and maybe Rita, you can express this to the Board of Selectmen, this is obviously having it be the best it can be as soon as possible is a priority, I think, that we want to stress.
They met last night with the chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on
All
their
right.
agenda for the 22nd.
Yep.
I got a problem with that, but, since we're responsible for all the funding, I'd like to know what's going on, because I've brought it up a number of times, so I guess they decided to take it away from the committee and not discuss it, and I have a problem with that.
Right, but I think the thinking was that the security aspects of the town aren't really the privy, or I should say the purview of this group. So that was the decision that they made.
And so on number 8, TMLP was out on Monday. Again, that's just all fiber related, $6,600 to get it installed. Number 9, I provided all the rack specs to Bob this morning.
Yeah. I saw that.
So we should be moving along with that. We're basically just gonna take all the equipment that's there and move it down. 10's the same as 9, really.
Yeah, that's kind of.
Yep. And then, computers are all priced and ready to go. They haven't been ordered yet, but there's not much lead time on those. They're in stock. So I didn't really want them sitting around taking up space, so we'll order them in the next couple of weeks. Phones. I talked to NVCom this morning. Originally, we got the quote for just doing the PD, but then I expanded that just to see what pricing would be to do townwide. So They're pricing that out now. The plan is to have redundancy, so have a phone system at the new building, have a phone system at the existing town hall, and have them fail over to one another. So just waiting for the numbers on that.
What's the lead time on that, Tim?
I don't know specifically, but John from MDCOM hasn't had any problem with, the schedule. Let's put it that way. He said it should be no problem. So, go ahead.
And fire department already has MDCON.
I don't know what they had.
Yeah, I think they do,
All right, I don't know what the,
but it probably needs to be.
yeah, it's gonna need to be upgraded for
Upgraded.
sure. Yeah,
So when
and,
he's doing town hall, he's including fire.
yeah, exactly. Fire will be on board with that. And, the only caveat to it is, and I don't know the answer to this yet, is what we have for cable under the walls for phone now. That might need to be upgraded. So, I'm gonna shoot over there tomorrow and look. And then if we need to get the electrician involved, I say we just rerun Cat 6. Which would, straighten that out, and that's pretty much it. Originally, we had talked about going to hosted, phone systems, but the caveat to that, I talked to multiple cloud hosting vendors. Nobody could record just calls to the outside world and calls from the outside world, without doing inter-office calls as well. So the chief didn't want all the inter-office traffic recorded, plus it just kind of chokes up the system for no reason. So, so that's why we ended up going on premise. That's pretty much it from my end of it.
Cable, you're coordinating that as well.
Yeah, the cables are, we're in their queue.
Yeah.
So we're just, they won't schedule anything until it's 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
So,
All right, just continuing along, I do have audio-visual here. So I did send along the proposal I got from Valleycom that the committee had asked me to get last time we met. So over the past month, we've had some meetings and conversations with them and the police, and we've kind of boiled it down to the design that you have in front of you. If you did take a look through it, the executive summary, it's, I think, very inclusive. It really describes how the system's going to work. There are some limitations that they list at the beginning that I just wanted to go through so everybody understands them. The projection screen, they did say that because it goes down close to the floor, you could lose part of your picture. They can adjust for that with the actual projector and bring the picture up so you're not losing cutoff at the bottom of the screen. So they said they were going to list it here, but it is something they can deal with by making adjustments to the projector. Ambient light, we have blackout shades in that room, so that shouldn't be an issue. And then the side display, there is a side display, if you're looking at the projector to your left, a television that will be close to a sink, not directly over it. We actually moved it over as far as we could. There's some cabinets in that location, so we were kind of limited to space. So we did move it as far away from that sink as we could. So they just listed that, you're near a wet area, you should be aware of that. So the rest of the system involves, we have a smart board that'll be really stationed on the right-hand side, but it's actually on wheels. So it can be pulled into the conference room, it can be moved around the room, anywhere, so that they're not limited. We do have provisions for a TV on that right-hand side if we ever wanted to hang a TV, but the police department felt the smart board would be better. And then we have a display board in the lobby, as well as a conference display as well. So the system is, pretty intricate in that any television can display any of the displays at any time in any room, or they can all be different. So the reason for that was if it's being used as an EOC, you could have something on the projection screen, your television on the left could be the news, you could have something else going on the smart board, so they can all operate independent of each other. That was, big for the PD. And then also built in this is ADA listening devices, a package that'll be, part of this so that if there is any town meetings in there, anybody with hearing disabilities will be able to listen in, along with microphones and speakers in the system as well. So, Lieutenant, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about the system at all?
We were there at the meeting. They were very productive. We were happy with what we saw and how we're going about it. We did tour another department, and they weren't able to use their training room at this time as an EOC because the TVs were not able to work independent of each other. All the TVs had to show the same exact thing, so they weren't able to separate it.
The separation of that after the fact is gigantic.
Yeah, they're having very, very big difficulties with dealing with that right now.
One other thing I wanted to point out too, originally we didn't have wireless in the scope, so I know the wiring got run for that, and we already have the devices.
Yeah.
So that's all squared away.
Yeah, good.
So do I understand the smart TV is not going on the wall?
There's a television going on the wall, but you're correct. On the right-hand side, there's no smart TV on the wall, it's on wheels. It's a pedestal type TV.
So, but that's not in this quote, though.
It is.
Unless I read it wrong, okay?
Fixed TV, projector, pedestal, right?
Correct. In that room, yeah.
Fixed TV, what?
Fixed TV, if you're looking at the screen, fixed TV to your left,
Yep.
and then projector, and then smart board on the pedestal. So Valleycom put this together at no cost for us. I think we saved a decent amount of money if we were to have an AV designer do this. So I think there's some good savings there. I would like to keep them moving if the committee wants to, or we can put it out to bid. We can, really do whatever you want.
Anybody have any questions about the design?
I don't like it, but that's okay. That's only me.
What,
Because I don't think we were given the chance to discuss it, and now all of a sudden it's showing up.
what is your concern with the, you're not liking it, the projection screen itself?
Well, not only the projection screen, now we got a standalone smart board, and then we got the projector for the screen. If we had wall space, all we'd have to do is put a smart TV up there like it is over in Middleborough, and we wouldn't have that other stuff. We're spending a lot of extra money that we don't have to. Although we shouldn't have had to.
What are the advantages of the projection screen above a TV? Are there any, do you know?
I think the size allows you to see the details you
Presentation.
want to see in the back of the room.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean, you can get large, flat screens, but it's not that large.
Okay.
So, I mean, I disagree.
I think a 75 inch, I looked it up, and don't quote me on this, but your range is 10 feet, 12 feet, something
Yeah.
like that.
I went over to look at Middleborough's, and Middleborough has an 80-inch,
Mhm.
and they have a 75 meeting room. Quality is excellent, no problem.
The original price on that, I want to say it was like 15 grand. for one of those.
9,000.
Is that what it ended up coming
Yeah.
down to?
Well, it's kind of mute because for the doors that we've got for the storage, I
That's
need
what
to
it's
go
built
with,
on, it's designed that way.
yeah.
Yeah, you remember, we were being as economical as possible on the spatial requirements of this building, keeping the building size down. And you're absolutely right. We had storage rooms and storage areas in the back. We wanted to have windows on at least two sides. And so the only option was to have a drop-down screen that would go in front of those doors. And quite frankly, that was discussed at one of our very first meetings as a committee as to what was going to be working there. So I think that, plus the smart board, adding the smart board to the equation gives you flexibility where that smart board can go anywhere else in the facility and just plug right in, plug and play. So it gives you the versatility that a stationary smart board does not have. Plus, you've got a much bigger viewing area on your screen, so you drop down. So you could literally use your smart board without the drop-down screen, or vice versa.
What is it? How much is the smart board?
I saw here listed for 6,000, but I'm sure there's other components that go with
Sure.
that, the stand and
Yeah,
everything
it's
else.
6,000, and then there's,
Yeah, the add-ons.
That can be moved to the conference room.
yeah.
It can be actually moved down to the control room.
Yeah, that's
That's
what I
what
was
I was
thinking.
thinking.
That's
On the other
good,
end of the
because
hall.
you don't want it.
wireless? Is it wireless
gonna be
where,
there's
where
gonna
you
be-
just have to plug into a receptacle and you're good to
Yeah.
go? But
Yeah.
inter-
Yeah.
internet capability
Yeah.
wireless?
Yeah, so if there's something going on in the training room,
Yeah.
and we need the smart board down in the patrol room for something.
Yep.
Like if we're doing an operation or
You can
something,
have
there's
it
a
right down
meeting going on in the training room,
Yep.
and we
Yeah.
got 10, 15 officers that we need to have an operation go, we can bring the board down there and set it all up right there.
And these are the devices you say and can run 3 different things at the same time, basically, right? So you got a lot of more functionality
Yeah.
with doing
If
that.
we used it as an EOC, you can have the fire on one TV, us on the other, and highway or G&E or whoever on the third one, looking at different aspects.
And you could be looking at the screen as well.
Right.
Dawn, you're talking about your comment about the patrol room, and I don't know your end of the business, something, but in construction, we call them, what, toolbox talks? Little 5-minute things where maybe during a shift change, you want to show a video, boom, it's there. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, let's all go down to the, yeah.
Jose, did you have a question?
Mr. LaCamera sent me the proposal to review, and I found a couple things. Number one, it says it requires that the owner provide an HVAC system that will keep the equipment room under 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's gonna be up in the communications room in the attic.
So
It'll be up in that tempered room,
what will be up there?
all their head-end equipment.
So none of the equipment is going to be down in
Nope.
in the storage room.
Nope.
Okay. That will be a problem for Lakeville if we have equipment there in that back room. We can wait on that.
All your equipment is in that storage room.
Right.
Yeah, so there's no equipment from the AV in that storage room. All their equipment is gonna be up in the attic.
But our equipment also puts out heat.
Well, let's talk about the AV quote first. You want to do that, and then we can
Okay.
address the lake cam?
Second, it says none of the TVs in the room will be connected to the ceiling speakers. Don't understand why they wouldn't be.
I can ask the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks to me like there's one kit for a wireless mic, a handheld and a lav mic, but they can't be used both at the same time. So it's a single use lav and handheld kit, wireless mic kit. I'm curious why they didn't go with 2, so that you have a lav mic for the presenter and a handheld for people to ask questions in the training room or in the audience.
When we went through it, the PD asked for one, so that was,
Okay.
Is that just something we can ask them to see what the cost difference, if it's,
Yeah.
if it's a couple $100 and, Jose thinking, I don't know what the number is. so.
It is
I'm
helpful
thinking
to have.
it's
one,
a small
I'm
enough
thinking
room
something
where,
like-
I mean, I don't know if you need
It's not an
to.
auditorium.
No.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think, I check into it, though. Having more mics is better.
Yeah.
Especially depending on, if you got a room that's full, to have the ability to amplify voices is definitely helpful, I think.
Can also help with the ADA compliance.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you know how many ADA devices they're talking about? Because I don't think they specified a specific number.
I
know
do not-
Lakeville has something like 6 in the room up there, selectmen.
Yeah, they told me it was a kit. I can find out exactly how many. Looks like that Shure mic is $732, so an additional $800 if we were to add one.
Taylor, do
Okay.
you know if that stuff just adds on after? I mean, we can move forward with this and you can get
Yeah.
the pricing, we just add it?
Yeah,
plug and play.
yeah, it's plug and play.
Okay. Does anybody else have questions about the design or the equipment? All right, so I guess we want to move this forward.
So I just, before you make any, I do want to be clear, we had, in our budget, because early on, everything was pretty slim, we carried an AV line of 25,000, so anything over that, that was just going to be really for a projector. What PD put together is obviously more than that, So it'd be coming out of our contingency, just so everybody's aware.
Okay. Take care.
Where was the total number in that?
Yeah, mine didn't have it.
I didn't
Yeah,
see
there
it.
there isn't.
Really?
There is.
There is some
Total
totals I saw.
is,
Figured it would be at
Which
the end.
email emailed out didn't have the total page of it.
everything, 116,349.27.
Is that here, or was that part of the email?
It did
Should have
not
been
come-
part of the email.
It did not come through in the email. That's why nobody has it, only you.
This is what we're looking at.
Is it on page 20?
No,
17 to 21, I bet you it's page 21.
Well, I have a page 19, I
Yeah.
just, oh yeah, I don't have 20.
Yeah, we're missing page 20.
Yeah, so $116,349.27.
27, all right.
And would you guys recommend moving forward with these folks now versus going out to bid?
I think, I mean, the committee can really do what they like. I recommended them because I've had a good experience with them. It's an AV system, so it can technically be installed at any time.
Yeah.
You could put it out to bid and get different numbers. You know, we took this off the state bid list, where everything's, you know, pre-negotiated. So I did look at other companies and what their discounts were. Valleycom's discounts seem to be better than other ones that I just pulled and looked at. So the pricing is all very competitive.
And the police department is happy with what's here.
I think the biggest thing is service when it comes to these things, because if something goes wrong, it's critical. And there hasn't been one time that I've called them and they haven't called me back right away or gotten back to us with an email, and they set up these meetings, and they're very, very responsive, which I like. So that's just my 2 cents, but the committee can do really whatever they'd like.
I'm sorry, I was going to answer the second half of that question. Just remember, Taylor had mentioned earlier on that you saved up front because we didn't hire an AV consultant to design the system. In the state contract, the state list has that option, so you can go directly to a vendor, have them sort of design it for you and give you a proposal to do so. I don't know what this would have cost for an AV consultant, but we're in the middle of doing Norwell Public Library right now. The AV components are a little bit grander, maybe $200,000, and the AV consultant fee is $45,000. So, you know, basically what you're getting is a free service. And, you know, the Valleycom is a very reputable company. They have a very long track record. And in some cases, the recommendation earlier on was to talk to them and let them help you problem solve. And if you turn around now and put it out in the street, you're welcome to do that, but it's a bit disingenuous as well. That's why the state contract is set up that way.
Yeah, and I think we had talked about that too, so.
I mean, if it is appropriate, I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with Valleycom in the amount of $116,349.27.
Okay, I'll second that. Any further discussion?
With the amendment or suggestion that we pursue the connection of the system to the speakers in the ceiling, as well as adding additional microphones.
Amend my motion to reflect what it said.
And I'll second that amended motion. We're going to vote it all in the entirety. We're not going to vote on the amendment.
From the amendment to the amendment.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed. Okay, thanks.
Next, if I continue through our log that we were going through, E911, I spoke about along with E911 recording equipment. They'll be doing that install. 17, the communications room mapping. So Bob's handling that right now. Now that that room is roughed, what we want to do is kind of literally spray paint on the floor where everybody's going, give everybody their wall space, because there is so much interaction going on up there. We'll have some coordination meetings with all those vendors, so we all understand what their marching orders are. So we're in the process of doing that right now. Morpho Track, the chief had sent this to me. I guess it's a new fingerprint machine he'd like to purchase that he's looking at. I haven't seen any pricing or anything on it yet, but
I want to say, you get $5,000, 5,500?
Between 5 and 6, I'll send you
Yep.
the email.
Okay. Yeah, so you can, six would be
Yeah.
safe.
Is that the machine through BCI?
Yes.
It's changed.
It's changed, yeah.
Yeah, they're connected through the state, FBI. It's used for bookings as well as firearms licensing.
Like the APHIS type?
It's the APHIS machine.
Okay.
And this is a second one. It's a
Okay.
desktop for firearms licensing,
Okay, yeah, that's,
so I don't have to bring
exactly.
Bring them in with the prisoners to get
into
them
the,
see.
Yeah, I know.
into the booking pods.
Good idea.
So where do you plan to process?
There's a little interview room
Okay.
that we're gonna set up for that.
Excuse me, Taylor, what are we looking at this? Is that what we're looking at?
the comms room one,
Okay.
or the IT update.
Thank you.
We're on the last page. 19 furniture, the furniture for the station was purchased. We did have a sit-down meeting with the chief to go over shelving. So that layout, we're just waiting on from WB Mason. All that is pretty readily available, so we'll be putting the order in for that soon, once we see the pricing.
Is that like shelving for the closets and storage?
No, the closets, there's built-ins in there already.
Built-in, okay.
But this is for mainly the outbuilding,
Okay.
some storage, and then evidence. So,
Evidence room?
yeah, any of the big areas where you're keeping a lot of information, or a lot of material. Lake Cam, I just had this on here to track that the provisions are installed per the building contract. Where they have their route to that storage room.
If I can just add something to Lake Cam. Lake Cam, in the design, has equipment going in the storage room off the training room. The police department has requested that the power to their equipment be controlled through the dispatch center. So the concern was that Lake Cam may be able to activate their equipment at times where the police department might not want them to be recording. And the concept was Lake Cam could be doing this remotely. They could be at the library controlling cameras at the police department without anybody at the police department actually being aware or no notification. So there's a concern with that. And we asked the electrical contractor, could we take the outlet that's in the storage room and switch it from the dispatch center? So that way the police department could control when Lake Cam has ability to record and display information, or the police department has the ability to make sure their equipment is off.
Now, the Lake Camp, that equipment's only in the community room though, right?
Correct. There might be an EOC event, there
Oh,
may
that's
be,
true, yeah.
there may be
Training.
something
Training,
happening
yeah,
in there for training
Yeah, I understand.
that it became a security concern.
Okay,
So I think that I can understand the request.
yeah.
So I don't know if it's been brought up to Lake Cam, but that's the concern, and we can easily put a switch on that, and that would be the preference of the police department, that they could then know when that is powered down. So in a condition where Lake Cam may not be utilizing their equipment would be turned off.
I can see that, how that could be a concern. The first thing that I would have question Lake Cam on is, sometimes when you just kill power to certain equipment, it has to reset, or it disturbs its continuity. So you're going to have to put some sort of protection device in there so the equipment doesn't get damaged.
Yeah, an APC to
Yeah, you know,
keep the.
like all our specialized equipment in the communication
Kill it,
room
though.
has a UPS.
It's running
I'm
out
not
of battery.
familiar with what they're looking to put there.
Yeah.
I am familiar with that they had some capability of remotely controlling the equipment from the library. They were still talking about using the library as a control center, but then having an ability to broadcast from the police department. That,
I wonder if it might make more sense, and I can talk to Team LP about it, just having the PD have an ability to shut down just that broadcast circuit, you know what I mean? So their equipment, their cameras can keep running, but cut out the communication to the outside world. You know what I mean, that Ethernet circuit.
But it's,
Is there
but
any
it's still
It's
even
still
being
recorded.
recorded, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could still record.
Well, we brought this up a long time ago about the concerns about the securing that video and sound. So maybe it takes another couple conversations to get something that works for us and doesn't hurt them.
yeah, I bring it up because it's, right now, it's just an outlet in the wall, and they're gonna plug in and they have power. And they have, the ability to communicate through Verizon is gonna be their method of choice. So they could have a Verizon link between the library and the police department. So they were planning on taking care of all that, having that done. But I raise it because we should all add this to that conversation as to how does the police department know emphatically that that equipment is not activated or recording or broadcasting.
Right, no, I think that's a reasonable goal. I think Rick's point is a good one, relative to what will cycling on and off power to equipment do to it. And I think that's worth a conversation with Lake Cam to figure that out.
So do we ask Jose to have a sidebar with perhaps Tim and Brian to just make sure that, you know, because Lake Cam's a great service, but I definitely understand that there's going to be certain situations that you want to make sure that that room is not being recorded. And even if it's in the middle of a test, if they're, you know, testing, they could turn their equipment on to, you know, harmlessly, you know, not certainly not maliciously, and record something that maybe the police don't want recorded, so.
Which it's actually illegal to record audio without saying you're recording audio. So there's a good reason why you want to have control. I mean, we know when that camera's going because there's somebody sitting there and you see the red light. You block the mic. But yeah, with a room that has the potential for remote control over that equipment, and being that it is a police station, I think these are all reasonable aspects of the conversation. But with that said, I do expect that room will be used for things that Lake Cam will want to cover. And I do think if you cycle down and cycle on, depending on what the equipment is, that could cause damage to it. So that's a valid thing. So I think if maybe, Rita, you can reach out to Jose and coordinate him talking with Tim and Brian to figure out that piece of it, that would be helpful.
Thanks, Brian. And then the last item on here was just a reminder to order TVs for the offices for our arrays that are going in dispatch. Those are all pulled out of the contract because you'll get charged $1,000 to $2,000 for a screen, and you know we can buy them much cheaper than that. So it's just a reminder to do that. Next on the owner vendors update, landscaping and irrigation. I did send around pricing I had got from Spillane's. Again, we talked about it at one point, you know, having Brian use a consultant to put together some landscaping plans and pricing to, you know, at least give us a ballpark. And the committee at that time said, you know, why don't we see if we can use something local to get some pricing. So actually, I went to Spillane's on a recommendation from Norm as well, the contractor who's used them. So they put together pricing for both irrigation and landscaping. And we just have to be careful about how we procure this. It does fall under Chapter 30B, so if we were to actually procure a landscaper, we'd have to put it out to bid. You could do a 2-week turnaround. But you're taking their plan and you're putting it out. Or you can issue a change order to Norm, in this case, and say, you know, we'd like you to take care of the landscaping. And the irrigation as well. You know, that time's coming up. I felt it would be the path of least resistance to have Norm take care of that. He's worked with Spillane's before, he has a relationship, and then they're under the GC, so you're kind of pointing at one person for everything. And these prices were just put together by Spillane, so I think the advantage to putting them under Norm is, you know, the subgroup or anybody can really sit down and say, listen, we want this, this, and this, or we want to cut back on this, or we don't want to do any plantings this year, we'll just do grass and irrigation. So it gives you that flexibility of kind of picking your own path. You don't have to move forward with these proposals. I think it's just the idea that it's an option to move forward this way.
Thanks. Does anybody have questions about the design or comments? Rich?
Question. When is the lawn gonna be planted?
If there was no action on irrigation and landscaping, they're ready to put the loam and seed in the, between April 15th and May 15th, which is the growing season. Now, if you want to add irrigation and landscaping, it's going to impact that, but they still want to get this done within this spring growing season.
It's not gonna grow then, you're gonna have problems with it all summer.
If you push this into July,
You don't do
you're
it.
going to have trouble. They'd like to get this done, and Spillane would like to get it done in this spring.
Need to act fast.
Yeah, one of the concerns I expressed at the site meeting was that I'm not a horticulturalist, I don't know what these things look like, and one of the things I think collectively we talked about was the maintenance of this, that, you know, you don't want to have something that's going to cost the town lots of money to just keep it clean. So our initial thoughts, and I'm speaking for the group here, was that this might be more than what we really want. We want to tone it down a little bit. But the best way to do that is a face-to-face meeting with Spillane or whoever, and start to work it out. And again, we're under the gun time-wise.
Well, if he's gonna go ahead with the lawn and put the grass in, then what kind of warranty is gonna come with that? Because if he puts it in, okay, let's be optimistic and say it gets in by May 1st, you're gonna have a serious problem with that lawn in July and August, if you don't have irrigation.
Right, you're gonna have the irrigation.
We discussed this months ago, we said we're gonna have irrigation, so
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, yeah, but when would the irrigation be done, though?
You'd want to get that in before, you know, as part of this process.
Right,
You don't want to install your loam and beds and everything else and install your irrigation afterwards.
Sure.
So you're better off to do it as part of the process.
Yes.
So how do we move this ahead?
well, I like your idea in the sense that this, to you, seems more than what you would want to see. How does everybody else feel about the design itself? Rita, what do you think?
Oh, I like a lot of the hydrangeas, endless summers,
Yeah,
but,
there's nothing really
I-
outstanding, it's just, you know,
But do we-
rhododendrons.
and I like the colors, but
Yeah, daylilies,
Yeah,
PJMs. I think it's pretty basic, it's,
You know, in the design, we have a 12-inch gravel strip around the building. So we have what's the typical drip strip. So we are not, in your contract, you're not putting grass seed right up against the building. So you have a gravel strip, and then you have a metal edge and then you have lawn. So at the building, you don't have to do anything, right? You don't really have to. You really need the irrigation. That's where you're gonna start this project. Everything around the building, that's at the base of the building, it would be outside of that gravel strip. So you could always cut back grass and put in whatever you want to put in. I think some trees along the Bedford Street might be a nice touch. But remember we have a message board that's going, two-directional message board. You don't want to put trees in that's going to block the message board. So you really have to be there, you have to see it, we have a leach field that we can't impact. You really have to work around some of these things. And working with somebody in the field to say, this is where we want it to go, this is what we want it to look like, come to a conclusion, and I think you could really make this look nice. But you need to know who you're working with. Going out to bid without a specific plan is a waste of time.
Right. No, I think that using Spillane's, I think your plan is a good one, but I think, I'm just trying to focus on the design first, because if we think that this makes sense, then that's okay, but to your point, do we want to have this much stuff? And I don't necessarily have an opinion, I just want to kind of answer that question first.
Is there not an interrelation between irrigation and plantings?
Around a mulch bed, yes.
Yeah.
They would want to put some soakers in if you have a mulch bed.
Yeah, but I mean, they have a proposal for that here, you know, so this is a pretty comprehensive proposal relative to not just the plantings, but the sprinkler system as well.
Can I make a recommendation? If we really simplified this, yes, the irrigation the design of the irrigation is going to change depending upon your plantings. And your plantings, I look at this plan and I say, geez, it looks nice, but I don't know if I like it or not, because I don't know what all these plants look like. But so you want to start a working session with Spillane and maybe dedicate 1 or 2 people from the committee, or maybe 3 people of the committee to maybe meet with Spillane and come up with a final planting plan. We already own the loam and seed, but we want irrigation in there to allow the grass to grow. A lot of municipalities will install irrigation just to get the landscaping established for a year or 2 and then cut it off. So you really want to do that to establish it. We've had projects where the municipalities have not put in the irrigation, and it takes them 4 or 5 years to get everything established.
It's a nightmare.
So the irrigation is a no-brainer. Maybe what you do is you vote to approve this. This has to be turned over to AP Whitaker, so there's going to be markup on this. But you vote to approve not to exceed this amount and dedicate several people from the committee to meet with Spillane and make some final decisions on the plantings. Maybe this number drops down, maybe it stays, maybe you decide that this is exactly what you think you need. But this way, if we walk away from today without any type of action, you're going to miss your planting season this year. And then what's going to happen is you're doing it next September.
Right. I'm okay with that, because I personally, I would defer to what they've come up with, but I'm okay with the idea of, if people have more of an interest in what specific plantings are used, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the idea of less for the sake of better or easier maintenance. So I guess the question is, does anybody have the inclination of wanting to do that? Does anybody want to put that energy in? Because the answer to that is no, we'll just vote to go with this plan, I guess is my point.
Be a member?
I don't think this is a bad plan.
I had a suggestion to Nate, and I asked him to look into it, was that, Teddy Del Rocco, who works for the town,
Right.
is a landscaper designer.
Mm-hmm.
And I suggested to have him look at the plan to see what he thinks, and maybe some things can be eliminated or changed or whatever.
Did you ask Ted?
No, I asked Nate, because I was
Ted?
supposed
Ask Ted?
to go through Nate to do that.
Yeah, Rita did
And
speak.
Ted did look
Okay.
at it the other day, and I gave him one to look at. you know, like, at the end, there's 9 plantings. I'm sure we don't need as much that's on this, but, and it could be tuned back a little bit.
Did he specify what ones?
No, he hasn't, I will get him to specify right away.
Okay, well, I don't think that's a bad suggestion, because I know he knows his stuff. I'm comfortable with moving forward with this, maybe subject to his opinion relative to the removal of some of that stuff.
Or the changing of some of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, or the changing of it, I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't personally care what's there. I mean, I think something should be there, but I don't have, I like lilies.
Yeah.
I
I mean, one of the other concerns I brought up
Coming off the
is
building.
trees flanking the driveways.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's so many places in Lakeville where you creep out, you creep out, you creep
Yep.
out. And I don't want to have that problem 5, 10 years based on something we chose to put in the ground.
Yep.
So, and again, I don't know these things, so you need someone who actually knows that.
No, it's just the.
It looks
Right.
like the trees, though, are farther enough, this one anyway is farther enough back.
Yeah, they're holding them back
Yeah.
at least 20 feet from the road.
Mr. Chairman, I think we should move forward with, Spillane's a local contractor, he does excellent work. I understand the maintenance of it, but we're gonna need maintenance anyway, we talked about that before, who's gonna do the maintenance? Is it the town?
Right.
The town will do the maintenance. We have a beautiful building, and just to cut short a few plants here and there, just doesn't make sense. I think we should move forward.
And Mockingbird comes in, you know, in the spring, you know, if you're on a maintenance schedule,
Yeah,
and trim everything back.
yeah, no, I'm
in the
okay with
spring.
that too, I mean, I
Move forward with the
don't,
irrigation, get this planting going, you know, I think it's important, the timing also.
okay. Would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion, we move forward with Spillane with the, to get handed over to the general contractor to have Spillane conduct the work. If there are some changes with Ted.
On the planting.
Yeah, if the plantings, maybe Ted could get a hold of Tim Spillane.
Or have them, if there is any, go through me, just so we.
Yes, because Ted's great,
Yeah, track it.
Ted knows his stuff, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I
but-
think, looking at some of the shrubs here, they're fine, it's gonna look nice, there's some color there, we have a nice building. It's
Oh, yeah.
important. So I think we should move forward, I make a motion that we move forward with Spillane through the general contractor to handle the irrigation and the landscaping.
Okay,
I'll second that, but for the sake of discussion, I'd like to put a not to exceed number, because this has got to go back to Whitaker, they're going to add whatever, 8 to 10%, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
So.
just to run it through them.
I just looked at it really quickly, and would like to modify that motion to say not to exceed 25,000 on the irrigation, and not to exceed 30,000 on the landscaping.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
25 on irrigation?
Yeah, right now it's 18,280,
Yeah.
and Spillane has a baseline proposal and then a modified proposal. The baseline is 24,152, modified is 12,278. So I just added those and put about 10% on it.
okay, Rich,
Do you see the modified?
Yeah, I do. I just don't know what the difference is.
So the 24,152 is your baseline.
Yeah.
And then he gave us,
Like
if you
an
want to do some
extras to
additional,
jazz it up a
yeah,
little more.
jazz it up a little.
Yeah.
That additional is 12,278.
Is that going to include the plumbing and the electrical work that's going to be required to install a system in the building?
His description of irrigation just says the 12 one-inch zone heads, 41
Parts and
12
labor.
spray heads, yeah, parts and labor. But not, it wouldn't be interior, so we discussed getting municipal water in, but that's a great point. I mean, we talked about doing like a Y valve.
Yeah.
So we could convert from, you know, if we can use the parks at some point or a well, but we're gonna start with municipal water, was my understanding.
Correct, that's what this
So-
is based off of.
It
So maybe
depends
we-
if it's a plug-in, it depends if it's hardwired or just plug-in. I don't know. If it's something the electrical contractor has to get involved with, then there would be an additional cost for that. But if it's a plug-in unit, then no.
Yeah, we're still gonna have to put the irrigation check valve and stuff like that, right, the backflow
Right.
preventer.
Yeah.
So there is gonna be
There'd be plumbing
additional
costs, yes, that aren't part of this.
So maybe we can, I have no idea what those numbers are.
I can find out from Normal, or Brian will ask for a proposal.
So I just wanted to make sure I understood this. So your landscaping component is not to exceed 30, did you say? Or
Yeah,
35?
is my math right?
I don't know, I'm just trying, there was
Yeah,
a lot of
30
conversations going on.
Yeah, I said 25 for not to exceed 25 on the irrigation.
Irrigation, yeah.
And not to exceed 30 on the landscaping.
Okay, so not to exceed 30 on the landscaping pretty much says that you're not going to jazz it up with that.
Oh, yeah,
You follow me?
yeah.
Yeah, it's the 24 plus the 12 if you were to
Yes.
do the add-ons.
So it would be 36, 3. So it's really, after 10%, it's really closer to 40. I'll amend that if I can, just to say not to exceed 40 on the landscaping.
Okay,
Not to exceed 40.
That one right there.
And not to exceed 25.
Yeah.
And and then you may have some electrical connections and some plumbing work for the feed and the backflow preventer on top of that. But we'll try to work it out with A.B. Whitaker to get it all covered in that. And then it may drop down based upon the discussions from the residential expert.
And after the vote, I would like to mention one more thing.
Yeah, I think you're all set, sorry.
Rich just
If you
said.
need anything, call.
I will.
Thanks so
Okay.
much. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I think the language is clear, I hope. All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries, it's unanimous.
I'll let Norm know tomorrow so he can jump right on that.
So,
Oh, yeah, so you
Yeah.
had something
Rick, you
relative to the-
mentioned getting those prices back. I mean, now that we're getting
Mentor.
closer, to the end of the project, do you think it would be important for this group to meet more frequently, just to make sure that any of these decisions coming up, we don't want, as a town, we don't want to, make this project get delayed because of decision-making? And I don't know if you think that even if it's a quick meeting, or, maybe we don't need the entire update.
Yeah, I might be the wrong person to ask, but I would defer to Taylor and Brian, but it seems to me that you've been very expeditious in making your decisions. But there always may be that scenario where you want to have an emergency meeting.
So we'll just leave it open.
I think the team did a pretty good job of forecasting what's ahead of you. We've just knocked off two of those, the AV and the landscaping.
Yeah.
And things are falling into order. So is there anything else that's critical that would need a decision?
No, I don't have anything on my side.
I just wanted to make sure that these plumbing and our electrical things, if we get pricing back and we wait a month, now we're in May.
No, I think that's why you would have a plan in place where you have an ability to approve those.
If we get the pricing, yeah.
Yeah, but to that point, if you feel you want to meet more frequently, just let us know and we'll schedule it, or try to.
Absolutely. I think tonight was huge with the AV and landscaping. I think everybody will be happy on site to get those things moving, so.
Okay.
Moving on, I did have just a general action log. This is the one that used to be about 4 or 5 pages. I just took out everything that was done to make it just down to 1 page. But utility notifications, that's ongoing. We're in good shape. Secondaries, we just pulled into the building yesterday. So we're looking real good. All of our underground is basically done. So that's on track. The curb cut submission, I haven't heard any more of anything going on with the town, the park entry side, so I just have this open on our log, but I haven't heard anything.
They've been taking 4 to 6 months for approval. Jamie's scheduling an actual sit-down with one of the folks at MassDOT, with him and I, to just go in there and say, look, we got to get this going, and you got to make a decision on how far along we're gonna have to make modifications to that access.
Okay.
So I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks, but I don't think it's gonna slow down the project. We'll do that outside.
Yep.
Jamie felt as though the highway department could do most of it.
Okay.
We do gotta close it out, though.
Okay. Radio bidding is complete. E911 coordination, again, that was in our other, little overlap here, but we're on track there. Dispatch consoles were ordered. Closeout documents are in process. Bob has actually started some of that. Road sign at the PD, we approved that today. Soccer drainage parking, Nate, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I guess a little bit. So, we did ask Ramco for some proposals to see if perhaps that could be done as a change order. The prices came in a lot higher than what we thought, so we opted to go out to bid. So, it is out to bid. We've already got one response. Tracy reached out to 3 local site contractors today to make sure that they were also going to be bidding. I think the closing is in 2 weeks or a week and a half, so we'll know better then.
Okay. Landscaping and irrigation, we just moved forward with. And then lastly, roof application. This is pretty much closed, but just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on this. So about a month and a half ago, we had a high wind storm. We lost some shingles on the building. So we were concerned about the nailing in the shingles. So we did have the rep, manufacturer's rep from GAF, who's the manufacturer of the shingle, come out and take a look at it. He toured the roof with Nate. Brian also got up there and looked at the roof as well. And they found the install to be acceptable. There was some things that he probably could have done better, they felt, but it wouldn't affect the warranty. In fact, they wanted to actually give us a better warranty just to make, the town happy and whole. So they gave us from a 40 to they gave us a 50-year lifetime warranty on the shingle. And then they actually threw in a labor warranty as well for 15 years. So if there's any issues, they'll fix that up to 15 years. Any questions on that? That might have been all I have, Aaron.
All right,
Well, we can't stop there, though.
but wait, there's more.
The all-important dedication plaque. We have in our specifications a cast plaque to be mounted within the building. And within the specifications, we state that there's just lettering, no seals, no insignias, so only the graphics would be lettering. So what I've passed out was based off of the dedication plaque that I was sent a picture of that's at the Lakeville Library. The Lakeville Library has a similar plaque, and this plaque draft that I gave you is of similar font and similar layout and similar style. So that was a place that we decided we were going to start from. But this could be anything. This could be any font, this could be any layout, but it's 24 by 36 in size. And it's up to you to say, I like it. This could go through as many drafts as you feel comfortable with. We just want to make sure that people's names are appropriate, and whether there's a middle initial, no middle initial, it's completely up to you. And we will continue to do drafts until somebody says, go.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, Tim.
Okay, yeah, so understanding this came from the library, but when I first opened it up, it just seemed complex for me to understand what was going where. So I'll try to describe my idea verbally, because my picture doesn't do much good here. But simply taking...
You really ought to show it anyway.
Simply taking, and basically up the top, I can't see, up the top here is the selectman, Rita's name, and then moving the building commissioner up in line with the chief of police. So you got selectman, Rita, 2 town employees, their names, and then taking the building commissioners, or excuse me, the building committee, whatever it's called, centered that, and then 2 columns 3 names each, and then a little bit of space, and then we have the hired guns, the architect, the engineer, or the architect, the OPM, and the GC. And it just seemed a little bit more balanced that way.
I
So
think that's great.
That's my
I think that's a great suggestion. I think it would make it more readable and I totally see where you're going with that. You want to have this be here.
Right,
It's more equal and then,
yeah.
yeah. So that's draft 2.
We can make that draft, we can make that revision. Do I have,
But you want to know names and stuff to
well,
hopefully...
some people, some names have middle initials, some don't, which is fine, and that's totally acceptable. But if there's somebody who wishes to have a middle initial, that's possible too. Some people go by
I have
it,
my middle name and maiden name.
whatever
Add
you
it
want.
there.
Whatever you want.
Formerly known as?
30 characters. We did note at the site meeting that both Frank and Nate have their middle initial, which is
Right.
good, it still balances out.
And so are you going to keep on building committee member?
Yeah, and that actually,
The M
would-
needs to be capitalized, that's,
Yes, and member?
yeah.
and that would be centered down below the 2 columns.
Yeah.
That could even be smaller too, probably.
Yeah.
So if in
How
the-
small of a font can you put your name in?
Oh, it could get small. But I'm controlling the draft, so it's gonna get big and bold by the time we're done.
Is it 24 wide, 30 the other way?
No,
3
this
feet
is
wide?
designed at 24 high, 36 wide. 24, 36.
Yeah, because the library's, I think, the opposite way. I think it's
Oh, so there's
longer.
this way.
Yeah.
I think the picture you sent me, though.
Oh, I
is this
can't.
way.
I like that.
Yes.
I didn't care, but I just thought.
So,
Okay.
Brian, in the sake of time, I mean, is this a decision that needs to be made before next month's meeting, or, I mean, I was wondering if you wanted to poll like we did the gable ends, where if you presented a draft, as Tim described, put the 2 side by side, have them sent out to the committee.
Yeah, we should approve it before.
I'll just send you the revised one,
Mhm.
and if you can just build consensus that this is acceptable, that's all I need. It goes to the contractor, they will provide a proof, and they'll submit a proof for a final approval. So you'll have another checks and balances within that process.
And, you know, I'd like to add just one quick thing is, I would like to see consistency there. So, you know, I don't care if my middle initial's there or not, but, I mean, perhaps that's something that, I mean, it looks maybe a little bit more, I don't know if it's more professional, but it's just a little bit better to have the folks' full name there. If, you know, if we added the middle initial to everybody, or if they prefer not to, that's fine too. But it seems like it'd be better if it was consistent.
Does anybody have a preference? I mean, does anybody care about adding their middle initial? I guess is the first question.
I don't.
Does everybody have a middle
Selectmen
initial?
don't use any middle initials, I know that.
I looked on the website, they don't list their names with middle initials.
No.
Yeah. I mean, some people don't have middle names.
Right.
So you're saying pull out your middle initial and Frank's, or
If Frank, if, you know,
no
Frank's
one
on,
wants to add it?
I don't care either
Yeah.
way, so if Frank, it doesn't matter to me, so if Frank doesn't care, or even if, however it shakes out, I guess.
I believe that everybody should have the opportunity to list their own name however they want to.
Right.
I've always believed that a person has the ability to represent themselves how they want to in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it not being consistent in terms of if somebody wants to use a middle initial or doesn't.
Most plaques are inconsistent.
Yeah.
There are some
Yeah.
folks that have them, some folks that
But
don't.
right, I mean, some people don't, but, you know, like, some people always use a middle initial. But I really think that should be an individual choice.
Yeah.
It's much like, you know, my father's name is Jerome,
Good point.
and he hates when people call him Jerry. He says, my name is Jerome. And he's chosen to represent himself that way to the world, and that's his expectation. And I think it's, at the very least, you can give somebody the respect of calling them what they choose to be called. So that's where that belief comes from in terms of your name being memorialized on a plaque. I think you should choose to have your middle initial there if you'd like it, and if not, that's okay. And that it doesn't necessarily need to be consistent within the plaque.
So do you think we ought to just send a quick email out to the group and just say, please
And just
respond to
confirm,
Taylor?
yeah.
You know, this is how you spell the name, and this is what you want to.
Whatever you feel comfortable with, is this the way you want it represented on the plaque?
Yep.
It's just a quick response.
Yep.
So I'll get a draft out, a new draft.
Jen just brought up a good point.
Memorialize.
It's like Lakeville Police Station, not department.
Police headquarters?
It could be,
It's like, it's
Either
the
the-
Lakeville Library was on.
It's either department or headquarters, whatever, it's really up to the chief of the
Yeah, we have to have.
department.
Well, we didn't know if that's what's typical.
because it's a facility, it's a police department facility, it's really the building. But this
So it would be a
is
station.
pretty typical then.
Yeah.
Right?
The ones I've seen have said department or facility.
Yeah.
I've never seen station.
I've never seen facility. I've seen department.
This is common.
Okay.
Newton, oh, Natick.
Really?
Facility. It's really good. yeah.
No, when I saw that.
Just run it by the
oh,
chief.
yeah, that's the
See what-
employees.
It's really,
Yeah, that's what,
Okay, great. Is there anything else?
Last
Okay,
was,
staff?
was invoices, and I have the hard copies for you here, Aaron.
If I could just say,
Did you buy vehicles?
yeah, at the back of everybody's agenda, I have a bunch of bills for the town.
$159,000 for a 2006 International.
Capital request.
My capital budget.
Yeah, I didn't put any truck budget stuff in there.
That includes the rest of the Sanders and plows.
Oh, is it?
All right, so we have
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4,
There's another spreader.
6. All right, so there's 6 of these that I want to read off. That are invoices for this time period. First one is general construction to AP Whitaker for $344,931.11. We have South Shore Generators, emergency generator for $12,175. Architect and engineering, $75.75. Owner's project manager for $14,476. The IT security system, $15,159.98, and material testing, $180. That's my motion that we approve those. Any discussion relative to any of these? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries, it's unanimous. Do we have any open discussion, new business? Okay.
Since we're 80% complete on the HVAC, has the commissioning agent been in to look at the facility?
They haven't been in yet. They're reviewing the documents, but they're gonna come in when the startups are in. We've been in contact with them.
No, I think they were supposed to review, there was 2 phases to it, they were supposed to review to make sure that everything was installed correctly, and then installed.
Yeah, they will do that.
Okay.
They are doing that. They haven't been in yet, but we've been coordinating when they're gonna come in.
But they have the plans, right?
Yes.
No, not only the plans, but we want to make sure that
Oh, they actually.
they did it right, you know.
Just one quick thing while we're
Yep.
talking about this is cost. Do we have any idea, I mean, is there anybody that would look or estimate electrical usage costs or propane usage cost on this. I mean, I just heard that perhaps, Middleborough had, nearly 400% uptick versus their old building. And, that's something, when we're dealing with Middleborough Gas and Electric, which is great to have a muni. I think we pay 11 cents a kilowatt. But it might be nice to know, as Frank's going through this budgeting season, is it going to be, the $1,000 or so a month, or, $4,000 a month?
I found that our engineers are not good to get a correct answer on that, because engineering, they'll have a peak design load. And if you go by that, they're gonna give you a number that scares you. And you're not gonna be operating at peak demand load based on engineering calculations. So the best answer we've been able to come up with to answer that question, which we get asked a lot, is we look at recently completed police departments of that size and of that construction type and see what they're actually getting for bills now that they're occupied.
And it's usage really more than bills, right? Because if you're on an investor-owned
Right.
utility, or
How many
depending on
kilowatts,
your
how
rates.
many, and then get the latest bill that they just received, and then convert it over to what you have for kilowatts.
Do you have any of your recently designed buildings that you could look at and see?
Yeah, I can reach out to departments and get that information of a similar size that's recently completed, see what they're paying.
Yeah.
You should be about comparable, if it has comparable systems.
Yeah, that would be great if you could. I was just, I had heard a couple of other stations that ran into that, and I just was kind of wondering.
I think initially when we looked at how we were going to design the HVAC system, Brian, if I remember correctly, you came back with 3 different proposals as to what those projected costs could be for each of the installations, so we might want to,
You're
get
right.
those out again.
Yeah, then they can run models on those
Yeah,
too.
so, I mean, there was significant differences between the two, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
it is still based on design loads.
No, I know, but at least it's a basis, that you can look at.
Yeah, because there was a maintenance cost function to that
Right.
too, I believe, and,
Yeah.
that might be nice
Yeah,
for the
with the
chief. to
life
know.
cycle cost analysis, that's a good point.
And,
Go
go ahead, no, go ahead.
You brought up maintenance, and in the whole building, there's a number of items I've heard over the months here about maintenance, and do you really have a tally of what we expect to have to pay on an annual basis to operate this building and its equipment? And does some of that come from the existing building, so it's a wash?
The maintenance the first year is done.
Included.
So, I mean, I think that's something we definitely want to keep tally of. If it's included, there may not be a cost associated, but we'd like to know what those
The following
costs,
year.
what those costs actually are, maybe ongoing. If we could somehow track those, it would be great.
Your engineers can run estimates on those too, though, right?
Yeah, and as,
Yeah.
you're correct, you
Maintenance.
get 1 year within your contract, and you want to stay with the installing contractors for that 1 year. They also, you get a sense for, is that somebody who you want to continue with? If there's somebody you're having better luck with locally, then you have that year for them to come in and see what the systems are, get to be familiar with them and get your proposal for year 2 on. So you don't need to know that right when you occupy. You'll have some time to get to know the contractors and get to know the systems. But it is something that you're gonna have in place for year 2.
And there's I know you mentioned with like the Presby system, I think that there's a maintenance cost associated with
Don't
that
ask
as
me
well.
anything about that. I have no
Well,
idea.
We start becoming more and more cognizant of
Yeah,
these
it's-
things
it's
as
not
the
cheap
budget
either.
season
It's
comes
not
up. So if
cheap.
we have, you mentioned inspection ports.
Yeah.
I'm assuming somebody's gonna have to peek down there once in a while. And, so,
You're
you
going
know,
to be
we
sure
gotta.
the electric bill's going to double.
Oh, gotcha. I think it's
Probably more.
gonna, it's
Yeah.
probably.
From a shack to
Yeah.
a
Yeah, 'cause
station, just like Middleborough went from a very old building to a very modern.
site lighting, all of those things, even though we're using higher efficient,
It's
high
just-
efficiency
yeah, it's-
fixtures.
It's gonna be right up there.
Richard, I meant to say on the commissioning, we have our kickoff meeting on the 17th.
Okay.
So that's when they're coming in.
Thank you.
One of the biggest service contracts is gonna be Cigna. That's what you're gonna run into, the security system. Because it just goes up every year. And then there's updates. I just found that in the past.
Yeah, software.
Bridgewater.
Software
The
updates,
software
yeah.
updates and the service contracts. And it's kind of, you have Cigna.
Yeah, they have you.
And that's gonna be huge. It's not something you're paying for very small amounts.
Because that's everything, fob, all of the, just everything that we have that is software
Everything.
related.
We can request from our major vendors, HVAC, emergency generator, UPS, ask them to provide you with annual contract, annual maintenance contract. Not that you have to go with them, but
Good baseline.
then that'll give you an idea as to where things are falling out. We've done that in the past. One thing that we have not covered today is Lake Cam's request to add air conditioning to that closet. So that's something that we're gonna need to get over at some point. And all of the police station items are up in the communications room up in the attic.
I'm not convinced that they will need
I'm not either, but
air conditioning in that closet. They have not given me any information on what the equipment is or what the BTU output on that equipment is.
Right.
And there's a question of whether it's going to be plugged in and running. So before we jump to say we're gonna air condition the room, it may be off and generating no heat.
Well, that's another discussion point when you meet relative to the power
Right.
switch. Maybe you can try to get to
Is
the
it
bottom of that too.
AC, or is it ventilation? In other words, you have a fan circulating.
Yeah, you might be able to get away with just ventilation,
Yeah.
with a duct fan, or even a louver in the,
Yeah.
well, we can't put a louver in that door, but yeah, with a duct fan.
Is that communication best to start via email? If Rita can get, or one of us, we can get Jose and Tim and get an email conversation as to what the expectations are? Or
Sure,
just-
yeah, I mean, I will
It's
defer
easier
to
than
them
getting a
to
meeting.
do whatever is most convenient. I
Oh, I'm
won't
gonna have to
suggest
ask
carrier
him
pigeon.
to have Jose watch the rest of the meeting after he left, so he has an idea of the conversation and to call me.
Okay, great.
Our next meeting's May 1.
Yes. Is there anything else we want to talk about? So May 1 is obviously Wednesday, 5:30 at this location. All right. I
And
will.
then maybe in June, we can meet in the building.
Someplace else?
And see
Yeah.
how close we get with furniture and things like that, but.
Nice. All right. Guess I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.